Welcome to Pop Culture Roulette for all your pop culture needs. We're America's podcast.
Oh, yeah.
As
Depends
always,
on the day of the week.
I'm Nicholas.
I am Jeremy.
And I'm Justin.
All right, so it sounds like in a world gone mad, we actually have content to talk about this week because I got notes.
I have some notes.
For the first time in like 150 episodes, Justin has notes.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, so I wanted to contribute a little, not a lot, a
Just
little,
a little.
baby steps.
Well,
And
you know what they
Jeremy, do
say.
you have notes?
I pulled some notes out of my ass at the
All
last
right.
minute. So,
And it looks like maybe you've got some topics on the wheel of riffing.
oh well, I mean there's some old wrong way. There's some old Halloween topics from last week, but we could definitely use it again if you guys would like to sometime.
I have a feeling we won't need the wheel of riffing this week.
We got a lot to riff on.
Okay. All right. So do we want to start with the elephant in the room?
Let's
do we
do
want-
it.
Do we want to handle some pop culture business before we head into the OT territory?
Well, what's the elephant in the room?
The OT territory.
Oh, well, I mean, me and Posfesh covered this already, bro.
Oh, okay.
No, we can talk about it. Let's go. Let's dive in. We didn't really get huge into it. We just we tiptoed around it.
Oh, well, was it you and Ryan this week?
It was me and Justin Duffick. Oh,
Wait, he did 2 in a row?
yeah.
Oh.
We
I mean,
I don't know how to tell you. We're just going to turn that into the new one, and you're out. The general manager doesn't like you
Well,
anymore.
no, that's not it. It's not like that. We're trying to make an extended universe here. People come in and out.
Well,
and we had a tech boat tournament on Saturday, so Rosie and I couldn't do it Saturday. So
oh, okay. Which reminds me, when we're done, we'll talk about this weekend. So the draft happened, and quite honestly, Justin, you're going to disagree with me, but I could give a good goddamn about the draft. I really don't care. You have, I mean, look at the percentages of the guys who got drafted in the first round. 50% or more are going to be bust. It's just pure science. So who cares? Like spending all this time getting worked up about, oh, the Packers drafted an outside linebacker and picked number 3 and blah, blah, blah.
There's a cornerback at
let me look
29.
Don't bother televising the draft. Nobody cares.
it was
Well, nobody
pretty
should care.
rad.
Oh,
Way too many people care, and that's the problem. At the end of the draft, just tell me who they picked. Let me look at it and go, okay, well, Gutekunst should be fired. Or, okay, he gets to keep his job for a year. And quite honestly, I don't even want to talk about the draft in general. I want to talk about all the stuff leading up to the draft.
Okay.
like 5 hours before the draft?
How much of it do we believe? One, or wait, I guess we should back up because obviously not all of our listeners are in the state of Wisconsin, and so they don't know what
They know.
we're
They know.
referencing.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what state you're in.
It was pretty big national news.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's a chance that some of them are like, wait. So when all the reports are coming out that Aaron Rodgers is demanding a trade,
Mm-hmm.
he's not demanding a trade. He's just demanding that Gutekunst gets fired. He's just angry about this, angry about that. Where is the line that we actually believe? I'm gonna turn this over to our resident football expert.
All right, Jeremy, take it away.
Well, personally,
I believe some of it. I would probably say 70%.
Okay.
He's made comments right off the start when they first hired Gutekunst as the GM, 4 years ago now. That wasn't his guy. There was someone else Rogers wanted.
Right. I
So
remember that.
Yeah, so he was already upset 4 years ago when they hired him. So I assume there's always been some kind of tension between him and the front office. He didn't want LaFleur. When LaFleur was hired, there's a different guy Rogers wanted. But I know Rogers and LaFleur seem to have a pretty good relationship.
Right. I say Rogers and LaFleur seem to have actually kind of meshed and they're working well together.
Yeah, but
But-
like originally he didn't want Goody as the GM. He didn't want LaFleur as the coach. So I think the tension's been building for a while. I just think that he didn't want the information to get out.
Yeah, some chucklehead
Yeah,
released it.
Chucklehead. We want names.
Well, you know what? We should get names. Quite honestly, like this anonymous source thing is garbage. Because I mean, an anonymous source, I could be like, I'm a Packer insider, and let me tell you. And I don't. How can you trust that I actually know anything? I mean, how am I? You know, what if I'm just the towel boy at Lambeau? Like,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I
Or just-
overheard this while I was picking up dirty jocks.
or just three guys running a podcast where two guys are Packer fans and one's a Packer supporter, making shit up.
Mhm.
Two fans and
Um,
a supporter. That could be a podcast.
There you go. There's a title. Two fans and one supporter.
I will say that quite honestly, after last year's draft and this year's debacle going into the draft, Gutekunst is looking to be every bit as bad and ill prepared to be the general manager as Ted Thompson was there at the end. Because you go back to last year's draft, and I understand, yes, you only have so much time left with Aaron Rodgers, but drafting Jordan Love in the first round was one of the dumbest things that any team that is in a potential Super Bowl winning team has ever done. Like it's just fucking stupid. Like you're
It
telling
is.
you're telling your multiple time MVP quarterback. Like I mean, if you really wanted a quarterback that you needed as a backup,
Mm-hmm.
you draft him like third, fourth, down in the seventh. That way you're not, because the way people view the first round is if I mean, it used to be when you got drafted, it didn't matter if it was first round or 14th round back when they used to have that long.
Yep.
You weren't probably going to see the field in your first year unless it was mop up time.
Wow.
Like you just weren't. You were a clipboard holder for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you get drafted in the first round and you're not starting by the end of training camp, people are calling you a bust.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look at the first three quarters. Like Trevor Lawrence should be sitting behind Gardner Minshew for the next year or two, getting his feet under the ground.
I don't think I'd sit him behind him for a year or two. I'd probably sit him for the first 6 weeks.
Well, but I'm
Minshew
saying,
is so
like,
inconsistent. He's just got that
Well-
sweet mustache.
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just saying, like, you know, the difference between the college game, even when you're playing on an elite program in one of the better conferences like Clemson and ACC or Mac Jones in the SEC, you're not ready for the NFL. You just aren't. I mean, the slowest guy in the NFL is still faster than the fastest guy in college. It's just, you know,
You can't tell them what they can and can't do. Who are you?
Some
I'm
random
a
guy
guy
on a
who's been
podcast.
watching. I'm a guy
Packers
who's
supporter.
about to turn 43 and has been watching football for most of his life.
Well,
So
I guess that's pretty good credentials.
Joe Burrow came out and he looked pretty good too right out of the gate last year until he got hurt.
well, yeah. I mean, there are occasional play, and that's obviously. I mean, look at like Andrew Jones with the Braves. I mean, that kid stepped up at like age 18, barely old enough to be in the major leagues, and immediately put an impact onto the Braves.
Jeremy, do you know who that is?
Mm.
Okay,
Well,
how about we go with Ken Griffey Jr.?
okay, wait, King Griffey Jr.
Let's
Mike
dumb it
Trout,
down.
Yeah, Jeremy knows that
like,
one.
yeah. I mean, you can, for every one. I'm trying to think of any. any NBA player, for every one LeBron who made an impact his rookie year out of high school, there's 150 guys who never even made
Sebastian Telefairs.
it. Yes. So I mean, more often than not, you are just not ready. You need that time on the practice squad in the minor. If you're lucky enough to be in a league that has a minor league system, you need that time to start acclimating. Because I mean, when you look at it, and this is not necessarily new information for people, but I mean, all right, when you're the best little leaguer, you're the best in your town, in your city, and that's a small number, but I mean, yeah, but now you go to high school and you're the best at that high school, but that number is now dropped. Like, I mean, how many kids play little league in every town? Like,
I played Little League.
200?
Jeremy, did you play
No,
Little
I
League?
never played Little League.
Nicholas?
I actually never played little league, but
All right, so I'm the best Little Leaguer on this podcast.
I played drunken softball at a grad party. Does that count?
But
No.
I mean, I played a lot of church league softball, but I never. But let's just say, all right, for sake of numbers and to make it easy to understand the system here, let's say there's 1,000 guys, 1,000 kids that play little league baseball. Okay, you're the best there. Now you're in high school. Well, now there's 700 people playing high school football, and you're the best there, but you're the best at. Now you go to college, and you're the best out of 500. And then when you get to the NFL, you're now the best out of 100. I mean, so as you go up, the number of being the best gets harder and harder and harder and harder. I actually was watching an Angels game this weekend, and they made a big shocker there, right? Watching an Angels game. But they said coming up very soon here, there's going to be the 20,000th Major League Baseball player to ever play Major League Baseball. Obviously, nobody knows who it's going to be because, it depends on who's getting called up when and injuries. But baseball has been around for over 100 years, 120 at least, 125. All right. So there's been 20,000 coming up on 20,000 guys. But think about how many guys played college baseball or minor league baseball or high school baseball or little league baseball. So to make it from
or
that
drunken
point,
softball,
or drunken
at a
softball,
frat party, give the man his dues.
So to make it from that point where like you're the best, and it's not like you're just competing in the state of Wisconsin. You're as you move up in the level, the talent pool gets larger and larger. When you're in high school, you're just from people in your area. When you get to college, you're people pretty much nationwide, kind of worldwide. But when you get to the big leagues, you are worldwide. Now, once you get to the major leagues, you're not dealing with just, Mike Trout, who grew up in New Jersey. You're also dealing with Shohei Ohtani, who grew up in Japan. So you now have to be the best in your city, in your state, in your country, in the world to compete on this level of stage. So most of these guys need extra time once they go from level to level to kind of see that acclimation. And we just don't do that anymore. And I think that's why that's why the turnover rate in the NFL is so much bigger, maybe than it ever used to be. I don't know. But I mean, these guys are just getting burned out so much faster because you don't have that ability to hang out and kind of learn the game.
Draft and develop.
Yeah, draft and develop. Oh, you're not ready by game 4, you're cut. Get out. Now, this leads us to where Aaron Rodgers stands. Aaron Rodgers knows that his time is limited. He knows that he's on a team that has a chance to win it all. They just need a couple pieces. Now, does Aaron Rodgers get to dictate what happens on the team? He's still, at the end of the day, just a player. And it does come down to, well, unfortunately for Green Bay, there is no ownership. So it comes down to the committee and making commitments to winning now. Obviously, when you've come that close that many years in a row, it's much clearer to see what we need to win now. And
Yeah.
Gutekunst clearly has no interest in that. He wants to continue the Ted Thompson pattern of draft and develop instead of the,
Go find the impact player, make the trades necessary to push your chips all
Right.
over the table.
I mean, he did do some things that Ted Thompson would never do in going out and picking up the Smith brothers.
Wow.
And he did do some of that kind of stuff. But in drafting Jordan Love, you've made the exact same. And now I know Gutekunst wasn't there when it happened, but Mark Murphy was. You're making the exact same mistake you made with Brett Favre.
Gutekunst was there with Favre. He was Yeah, he was a scouting director or something at the time. So he was still he was still in the war room.
So he was there when they made that mistake, 16 years ago. Like, I get it. Like, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, if they didn't make that mistake, the Packers aren't sitting in the situation where they have back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks. But you forced Brett Favre out a couple of years early because you pissed him off.
He also threatened to retire every other season.
I go back with that one. Like, how much was it? Because I see it with all the sports, but how much is it him actually threatening to retire, and how much of it was like with Drew Brees? Like, I never heard Drew Brees talk about retirement. I always heard about the talking heads saying, "Well, Drew Brees is going to retire."
Well,
but he never said he would.
Favre had like 2 press conferences saying he's retiring.
It was a lot of drama behind that.
Yeah, he at least had probably 2 press conferences where he said he's done, he's retiring. And then a couple, like 2-3 months later, he's like, "Nah, I got the itch, I'm coming back."
Yes. And so
eventually the team just went, "You're not coming back. We're not playing this game. You're done."
Right. And so, but Rodgers isn't doing that. He isn't holding press conferences saying he's not coming back.
No, he said he wants to play till he's 40 and he wants to retire.
Right. He said he wants. Now, the problem also with NFL over the other sports is that contract isn't worth the paper that it's written on. Like, I mean, the Packers could tear up that contract tomorrow, and Rodgers
that's what I said.
Rodgers is just shit out of luck. So I understand the trying to get the more guaranteed money. But I mean, here he is going, guys, look how close we are to the Super Bowl. Look how close, without a good defense, we got to the Super Bowl last year. Let's go out and get a couple of defensive players. Let's draft some defense. And the first draft pick you make is Jordan Love?
Yep.
Come on.
And they traded up for him.
Right, yeah, and they traded up for him. Which is that not like just saying, "Yep, this is what we want"? Like, this go ahead, pack your bags, Rodgers, because you're out of here. Basically, I mean, it sounded like they were telling Rodgers, like, you got a year and then you're done. So honestly, the best move the Packers could have done going into this year's draft would have been trading Jordan Love, and picking up some defensive players or picking up a wide receiver like I don't know, Odell Beckham, who's apparently available for trade if the numbers were right.
Cleveland's not going to take Jordan Love for Beckham.
Well, that is true.
They're sold on Baker.
Yeah, they don't need a quarterback. But I'm just saying, like, granted, you didn't think that the Texans would have traded DeAndre Hopkins for a bag of footballs, but they did. So
Bill O'Brien's a dope. Yeah, that franchise has its whole other list of problems now.
Ooh. Yikes.
But it does sound like both the Packers and Rodgers are kind of backed off their, like, we're never going to talk to each other again stance. I do wonder if Gutekunst is going to get fired by the end of the next week, and just as the sacrifice to keep Rodgers happy.
I don't think he will.
I assume that Rodgers' contract will be massively reworked with more guaranteed years.
Well, they already talked to him about signing an extension, and he's like, nope. So he doesn't want an extension. He doesn't want to restructure. It just sounds like he doesn't want to be there.
I don't know. I mean, it just because Rodgers has the Packers over a barrel right now. I mean, you're in a situation where, you Rodgers is like, because he could just say, I'm done, and like, I'm not going to come back, but then show up like in training camp and be like, you can sit me and I'll do nothing, but I'll put my uniform on every week, and you got to pay me all this money. You can cut me, at which point, like, I'll go free agent to whoever. And, you also have to pay me a shit ton of money. And if I'm Rodgers in that situation, I'm walking down to Chicago and going, $5. The
Chicago.
Packers just paid me everything. I want revenge. Let's do this.
No, they just drafted a quarterback in the first round. They got their guy.
Yeah, they're set.
Yeah, but
Wow.
wouldn't you cut that guy in a heartbeat if
No.
Rodgers shows up?
No, because he's a really young rookie. I don't think you'd want to cut him. Maybe get rid of Dalton.
I
That
mean,
was
like
the thing.
every quarterback who's not the guy we just drafted, you've been cut. Like,
That was the thing me and Jeremy talked about a little after the podcast, that like the Bears traded up to draft Justin Fields, the quarterback,
Yeah.
and they talked to Andy Dalton before they did it, saying this is the route they're
Well-
going to go.
Well, they were talking about the same thing with Tom Brady, because the Buccaneers drafted a quarterback either this year or last year,
This year in like the second or third round.
and they said that not only, I mean, like they said it was Bruce Arians' pick, like that was the guy he wanted. Tom Brady knew well in advance that was what was going to happen, and that's what the Buccaneers wanted to do. And I think that also, at the end of the day, is the biggest difference between how stupid the Packers are and how
Not to
well, I mean,
not to defend Brady, because we don't do that on this podcast.
this
But
is
does that also say how Brady is more secure with himself as a player? Yeah, you can draft this guy. I don't care. I'm still going to be better than him. I'm not going to throw a tantrum.
I'm glad someone else
I
is
don't
saying
necessarily
it.
even think that Rodgers threw a tantrum over the fact that they drafted Jordan Love. I think it's the fact that Rodgers found out they drafted Jordan Love the same way you and I found out they drafted Jordan Love.
Yeah.
I mean, that didn't help the situation any.
I mean, maybe if like the day before they'd been like, hey, Rodgers, we got this deal in the work. We really think this is the guy. We think he's the future of the franchise. We know you're here for another couple years, but we think you can put him under the wing, and in 3 or 4 years, because you said you want to retire, this guy will be good to go and ready to have at it. So I mean, I know as much as I wanted to blame Mike McCarthy and Ted Thompson on everything that went wrong with the Packers the last few years before Gutekunst and LaFleur took over. How much of this is Mark Murphy just being terrible at his job?
I don't think a lot of it is him being terrible. I think he's just being absent, which could make him terrible. But he's just kind of like, you guys just run the team. Because isn't he the one who built those pillars? Like they talked about with Mike McCarthy?
What?
Oh,
he had the whole thing with there's like pillars and the structure. So everyone's in charge of their own certain things.
probably.
Which, it's basically a way of being like, just leave me alone.
Nice.
I also
like
wonder
that.
if
I can relate.
I also wonder if the Packers had a real ownership, not just like the fans owned it, or like a committee that was, some sort of shadow committee that sort of owned or made all these decisions. Like, I mean, at the end of the
The
day,
Illuminati.
Jerry Jones owns the Cowboys, and he is responsible for all the decisions they make. He makes a lot of wrong decisions, but at least there's one guy to blame. Where the Packers are like, well, who do we blame? Do we blame Mark Murphy? Do we blame Gutekunst? Do we blame LaFleur? Do we blame, there's nobody, there's no real, like, I mean, who fires Murphy?
That has to be voted on by the committee.
All right.
They're
How do
voted.
you-
They're voted into that position.
All right. So how do you get on the committee? How do the
I,
fans
I have
go?
no idea.
How do the fans get rid of somebody, that, because I mean, you have to go, all right, well, yes. Now, and this is also like, I'm sure like if you're the Miami Dolphins, you're sitting around going, you guys are complaining about winning. We finally had a winning season. Wait, did they have a winning season?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, you guys went 13-3 2 years in a row. You made the NFC Championship game 3 years in a row. Oh, oh, that's what you guys are complaining about? Look how long it's been since we've even been to the playoffs,
Well,
let
like the
alone
like the Browns
yeah,
finally snapped that long drought.
right. That's what you guys are complaining about. But yeah, I wonder, I wonder if there was just if there was a one guy or one like a one centralized group, not just a committee that was voted on by who knows how, that was actually responsible for everything. If the Packers aren't in the situation that they're in, it's going to be weird if the Packers actually trade him to the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders, Broncos, and nine. Well, not the Niners anymore since they got Trey Lance.
I heard the Niners offered Garoppolo like multiple first round picks, late round picks, and like two defensive players. And the
Jeez.
Packers were like, no, we're good.
Yeah, one of them was the third overall pick this year's draft.
Wow.
Which then, even if they didn't like Love, they could have drafted a quarterback with that pick.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it just seems like the Packers are just a mess right now, and they don't have any intention of putting a good product on the field next year. I mean, you would think after a couple of 13-3 seasons, you would be like, okay, what is the missing piece? Okay. Well, they went out and they drafted a corner with the first pick. So, you move Kevin King over to safety or move him somewhere.
Just
King
get his
King will,
ass off the team.
he'll still be the starting outside. I think Stokes will be the slot at least for the first couple games before, so he can get into the groove of things.
Yeah. But I mean, you clearly know, like you can look and drafting, a wide receiver in the third round who's got some really good hands and good speed. Like, okay, go out and pick a couple other players and go say, let's make a run at this. Let's burn all the money in the world to make sure that we are the team standing at the end of the season with a Super Bowl trophy. Because then we can just be like, bye, Rogers. Have fun hosting Jeopardy.
Yeah,
Because I really think like last year, I mean, Breeze ended up retiring, but like you're looking at the guys at the end of the season going, if Rivers wins, if Breeze wins, if Roethlisberger wins, possibly even if Rogers wins, like any of those guys are just like, all right, I won it. I'm out. I'm done. I mean, Breeze also looked at it and went, I physically can't do this anymore. So he's done, and so did Rivers. But I mean, I wonder about Roethlisberger. Like, how long is he going to hold on to this idea that he can get a third ring?
I think this will be his last year. I think I don't even know if he'll make it through the whole season the way he gets hurt so consistently now.
Anyway, so all right, now that I've hijacked the OT segment,
what do you think? Trade him? Keep him? Fire Goody?
fire Goody.
I think
Fire
it would.
Goody and make
I
it-
think it would all depend on what you could get for him. If you can get a
I-
lot back,
I
You'd have to
don't
think
know
about
if
it.
you can get. I don't know if you can get back enough, because at this point, like I was saying, like the Packers are really over a barrel right now with Rodgers, because if you're another NFL team, you're not going to offer the world to get him, because like there's not a lot of reason to give a lot of stuff up for Rodgers, because if he shows up, you got to pay him. And if he's not going to play, like all he has to do is show up, and they have to pay him. And then if he's just causing problems, they either have to cut him or trade him. At which point they're like, well, we got to trade him. We got to get rid of him. You get nothing in return.
Yeah, but I think he's too competitive. And he actually cares a lot about his legacy to just be like, well,
Well,
I'm
yeah,
just gonna
and
show
that
up and
is
sit
true.
here.
And I think that's why he's so angry about this is that he wants that second ring so badly because he wants to have one more than Favre. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even think he cares that like he's not gonna have 7 like Brady or 2 like Peyton or something like that. I think he just wants one more than Favre.
Is that what we all want? One more than Favre?
One more than Favre.
All right.
Where am I? What is this?
So-
Overtime with Justin?
Someone wake up Jeremy.
All right. Enough of that. Let's go on to Justin's notes.
Yeah, Justin, what did you bring us today?
All right. Well, I watched some trailers, which I don't know if you've seen. I should have probably gave Jeremy the heads up. What are you doing? So I watched a bunch of trailers when I got home, just to see what new is coming out. I watched the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer.
Nice.
I don't know if you've seen that
Okay.
one. This is the first time I've seen it.
The one that they released last year when they thought they were going to release it last year.
I think
don't
it's
know.
the only one that's out still.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one then.
So I watched that one. Without Remorse. That one I watched. That's
I
the
didn't see that.
Amazon. It's an Amazon original
Oh yeah, I almost watched that movie this weekend.
with God damn her. With Michael B. Jordan.
Hmm.
I don't know exactly what Wrath of Man was about. That's a Jason Statham one.
Isn't that like a revenge movie?
I think
Yes.
so.
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, anything with Jason Statham, I'm in.
I just realized I keep getting more and more in the dark. Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
That's what it's called.
That's another one coming out.
That's a
That's-
mouthful.
That's the sequel to Hitman's Bodyguard.
Oh, okay.
Looks
that-
pretty good.
Is that
I
like
didn't-
a children's movie? Or
No, that's the one with Ryan Reynolds.
oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I can't
You know
think-
what? Somehow I've never seen The Hitman's Bodyguard.
Me neither, but I seen a trailer for the sequel, and that looks really good.
Sweet.
And then Free Guy, that other Ryan Reynolds one.
Yes, I was excited to see that last year, so I'm really excited
Yeah.
to see that's finally going to come out.
I mean, that's all I really watched for some trailers. I'm gonna watch a bunch of the trailers for the upcoming horror films too in the next couple of days to see what's coming out, because I know they have like Terrifier. This I don't know if it's called Terrifier 2. Separation's coming out, Spiral, which is part of the Jigsaw stuff.
I saw the trailer for that one. Didn't they have a teaser out on that already?
Yeah, I just didn't watch the ones. I was gonna start watching the horror trailers to
Oh,
get ready
okay.
for the Halloween stuff coming up.
Gotcha.
Did either of you watch the Shang-Chi trailer?
Mm.
No.
What?
Who's that?
Yeah.
The next Marvel movie?
I-
Well, not the
I-
next Marvel
I prefer
movie, 'cause
Chen's
Black
Kitchen.
Widow.
Chen's Kitchen.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, I
Disappeared
believe is
in the
what it's
dark.
called.
Yeah, I haven't seen a trailer for that, but I don't know anything about it. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's a Marvel movie, so what else do you need to know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in.
But I mean, it's a straight up. It looks like it's a straight up kung fu, like martial arts film,
Awesome.
and done just Marvel style. And I mean, you remember in Iron Man 3 that
Mhm.
Ben Kingsley was the fake Mandarin?
Yeah.
We're gonna get the real Mandarin now.
Oh,
So
That's cool.
I'm assuming that's how it'll tie into the Marvel universe. They'll explain why there was a fake Mandarin and what's going on there. But watch the trailer, man. It looks pretty badass.
all right, cool.
Put it on my list here.
I almost posted it on our page when it came out, like last week or the week after.
That would be a way to get us to watch it.
Yeah, I might have actually seen it then.
Yeah,
That's where I get all my entertainment news from.
All right.
That's
You
why
make
I'm so ill-informed.
Yeah, because it's not posted on the Facebook page. And then the only other thing I watched that I was going to bring up that's kind of pop culture related. It's a new Fox show called Let's Be Real.
Oh, you thought of it.
No, I Googled it.
Oh,
It's a new Fox show. It's Let's Be Real. It's basically kind of has that Crank Yankers feel
yeah.
where they do the stuff with puppets and they do a lot of political stuff.
I
Well,
was, yeah.
Go on.
Well, I was just gonna say I was shocked with how much they were able to get away with. Like,
Yeah, like
it's-
they do stuff with like what? Trump,
Mhm.
Biden.
Yeah, a lot of political figures. Ted Cruz is in one of the sketches.
What's
Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos. That was my favorite sketch.
Yeah,
So yeah, one of the,
Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah. Oh my God, that one especially out of all of them, like the fact that they were able to write that one and get away with that was pretty funny. It's
Yeah.
refreshing. I think it's. I don't know what they're gonna be able to do though, because I feel like they blew their load in the first episode. Like they just did so much already. But
Looking it up on like IMDb, it's got a 4.5 stars out of 10.
does anyone has anyone on that show worked on anything significant? Like I feel like there's like some really good writers involved in this.
Well, when I type in series cast, the first person that comes up is Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, so he might be playing himself. Jimmy Kimmel, Stormy Daniels,
Oh, so that makes sense.
Mark McGrath, Larry King. So who knows where this is going to go?
What's the name of this fucking show? I forgot
It
already.
looks like
Let's Be Real.
Robert Smigel is somehow like the producer creator of this show.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes
2020
sense.
presidential candidate Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Kanye West are ruthlessly skewered by Robert Smigel's puppets.
This is wasn't there a British show that did something like this too? Or is that the name of the British show? Let's be real.
I don't know, but I mean, they make fun of the Mandalorian in there with their cancel culture, and Dr. Fauci's in there.
Yeah, it was very clever.
I think I just disappear. Darker. So it's something I would recommend you watch, Nicholas.
Okay, I mean, I will add it to the list.
Me and Jeremy watched it. I showed it to him.
I watched that Nickelodeon documentary that you recommended.
Yeah, is it good?
It was fucking awesome. Oh my God. So they break down each different category of shows during that peak 90s they had, where it was like they do cartoons, the live action, and they talk about game shows, and they managed to get interviews with a lot of old cast members of those shows. It was really interesting. I got all choked up at the end.
Which network was that on? Which streaming service?
On Hulu. Yeah. And they talk a lot about Nickelodeon Studios back in its heyday when you could go in there and like watch them making the shows. And did you guys ever have a chance to do anything like that? Did you ever go there?
I didn't leave the state of Wisconsin
Oh,
until I was in my 20s,
I forgot about that.
my late 20s. Well, except for if you want to count Illinois, but no one ever wants
That
to
doesn't count. Did you ever go to Nickelodeon Studios, Nicholas?
No, I mean,
Nicholas Studios.
Nicholas.
I went to like in the 80s, I went to Disney World and Disneyland. I don't know if Nickelodeon existed when I went to either one of those. I mean, I think it did, but maybe not the level. Like, because I think it was the 90s when they were doing "You Can't Do That" or "You Can't Say That" or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the slimes. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, I mean, maybe even the 90s was it must have been in the 80s when they were doing Double Dare, because I was living in Memphis at the time and we left Memphis in 91, 92. So, I mean, the late 80s. Yeah, Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there would have been that. I would have been wanting to do stuff like that, but no. I mean,
Yeah,
growing up in Memphis, they don't exactly have a bustling entertainment industry in Memphis when it comes to TV. I mean,
right.
now if I was a blues musician, I'd have been set. But
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was it definitely seemed like a cool experience. I actually did. I went there when I was really, really young, like too young to remember, but there's photos of like me and my relatives and my family. And I think one of my cousins got slimed because they used to do like audience participation stuff when you would take the tour. And
Hmm.
so they'd have the kids like sit down and just like slime them. I think that was it. That was the height of the entertainment. But so there's definitely
Mhm.
photo proof, but I don't remember any single part of it.
The closest thing that I remember was when in the 80s when we went to Disneyland, we also did Universal Studios.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were doing like the tour of the stage shows,
Mm-hmm.
my dad got picked to be like they put the fake like Klingon stuff on him, and he got to go on stage and pretend to be a Klingon
Oh,
for part of the
sweet.
stage show.
That's
But that
cool.
was not like that was just like like how they pick like a bunch of people out of
Yeah.
the audience,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I got to sit in in the DeLorean,
Mm, that's
and
cool.
but that was no like TV stuff.
Yeah. Universal's badass. I like Universal. I'd like to get back there someday. They've really added a lot to it. I remember we went to Universal in California about like almost 10, well, probably more than 10 years ago now. And we went on the Simpsons ride and we went on the
Yep,
Mummy and all the, yeah, that was so much cool. There's so many cool things over there. It's just, yeah.
because they got all that stuff down at the one in Florida too. So
Yeah, that's cool. It's a
so
really,
right around 12 years ago was the last time I went down there,
mm,
or was in at the Universal.
yeah.
Because I had just started dating Jess, and I was talking to my friend Brad. Him and I went to Universal Studios, and I remember that trip very well because I was like, Brad, I think this is the one.
Mm, nice.
Let's go on the Simpsons ride.
This is the one ride I want to go on.
Yeah, this is the ride right here.
The ride of the rest of my life.
Oh,
But I looked up when you guys talked about that puppet show. That reminded me, and I think you
Let's
were
be
thinking of it.
real.
So that let's be real. As soon as I saw the picture and then you described it, it immediately reminded me of an 80s puppet show where they did political cartoon or political commentary
Hmm.
called Spitting Image,
okay.
where they had like, yeah, I guess it was a Brit, and I think that's what you were talking about. That's
Maybe,
the Brit. It
yeah,
was
yeah.
British, but they aired it in America, and because I remember them having like Reagan puppets
Mm.
and stuff like that. I don't remember it very well. If I was allowed to watch it, I probably didn't get a lot of it because I don't, I would have been like 8.
Yeah, yeah. Holy fuck, it's
It-
hot in here.
Yeah, same here. It might be on Amazon Prime, Spitting Image. It says it ran for 10 seasons.
Wow, that's a good run.
Yeah, I don't think it ran all 10 seasons here in America. I think America only ran a couple of the seasons.
Mm.
Included with BritBox on Amazon for $6.99 a month.
I'm surprised you don't have a subscription to that. You love British
I am
things.
too. I
I was
do
like,
love
wait,
British
which
things.
ones of us were you
Oh,
talking
both of you
about?
guys actually. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, look at here. Let's be real. Okay,
Check it out,
Add it.
watch it, enjoy it.
add it to my stuff. Got it. It's added.
Yeah, I just turned it on because I seen the little cover art, and I was working on laundry, and I was like, all right, let's see what this is.
Puppets, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was good.
Might have to watch it again. I'll watch it a third time.
So Jeremy, you got some notes?
Yeah, I watched the Orange Years. That was
Yeah,
okay.
he talked about Nickelodeon.
that was it.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
let me see what else. I wrote down the Orange Years and Puppet.
Oh, okay.
Puppet.
All right.
Let's be real.
Puppet. Let's be real. I thought I had one more. Oh, I was gonna bring a hero of the week, but it's been a long weekend. My hero is me for making it all the way through.
Well, you guys said we were going to stay positive.
Yeah.
So I did not choose a douche of the week. And I tried to keep my stories on the positive side. So my notes, I've got George Romero apparently wrote a script for what is going to be his last but possibly his last zombie movie, or the end of the Dead franchise,
Oh, okay.
called Twilight of the Dead. His wife has it. I guess she said it's a mostly, if not complete, script, and she's currently shopping for the right director and producer to finish off the series.
Cool.
I guess it's going to ignore the last two of the Dead series they did and go right back to Land of the Dead, that one with John Leguizamo.
Okay. Okay.
So like it's gonna be, so you've got Night of the Living Dead, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and then Land of the Dead.
Okay.
Because I can't remember if Romero directed that or he was a big part of it. And then they did like Island of the Dead and some other of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
That
Wasn't
he
there
was
like
kind
Diary?
of Diary of the Dead. That's what it is.
Okay.
Diary of the Dead and like Island of the Dead. Diary was interesting
That was
because
the
like it
found
was,
footage-ish one.
yeah, because it was the one that like supposedly was happening at the exact same time as the original Night of the Living Dead.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like it's so like it's supposed to be happening at the exact same time, but it's so modern. Like it's just it's like
yeah. Kinda makes it a little
and then
tough there.
Island of the Dead just wasn't very good.
Mhm.
But I guess they're going to ignore those two and do Twilight of the Dead. And
That's
then
cool.
I guess at the same time, she also dropped that he apparently never stopped writing, even when he wasn't doing anything. So she said that he's got 40 to 50 unproduced screenplays, manuscripts.
Wow.
So we could be getting George Romero written movies for a long time. Now, I do wonder how many of them are like worth it and how much of it was just like an idea that he had that he wrote on a sticky note,
Yeah.
and how many of them are like actual finished screenplays.
Just instead of just ideas.
Yeah. That's
Just
kind of interesting.
The ramblings that he just towards the end, he's just rambling on.
Yeah. Oh, we can't do anything with this.
So I guess we can make her the hero of the week for keeping George Romero's legacy going on.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Also, Tim Burton apparently is going to be doing an Addams Family show for Netflix.
Oh,
All right.
live action?
Yes, live action. I'm hoping.
Who is Johnny Depp going to play?
Yeah.
Probably Gomez. I'm hoping it's more of like a sitcom and not like an hour drama where they like completely get away from what like they try to do like what they did with the original Addams Family, just be a ridiculous sitcom where like you have this weird family existing in a normal world and they just don't get that everybody thinks they're super strange.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's what made the first movie definitely work. The second one was okay, but like that's what made that movie work is like here they are in the middle of like everything else is normal around them, but they're just this super bizarre family. And I'm afraid that like Tim Burton will lean too much into the weird. And try to make everything weird.
I hope not.
Did I tell you my little Addams Family thing that happened to me at work?
Mm-mm.
It was one of the days where I had to be one of those people who stands at the door with the masks.
Mm.
and I'm pushing up all the carts, and this older gentleman stops me and he goes, "Oh, have you ever seen the Adams Family?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." He's like, "Oh, you have this whole cousin it thing going on," and I was like, "Thanks." Yeah, and then he just left.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's nice of him.
I was like, "Yeah, it's not wrong."
But I guess also the current rumor that's floating around is that Tim Burton is actively talking to Christina Ricci
Oh, that's cool.
to get her to be Morticia.
Oh, nice.
I'd watch that.
So, I just thought that was a little interesting tidbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that for sure. Like you said, though, he's got to do it the right way.
Right. I hope it's more of the I don't even know if it works as an hour episode. Like, I think it needs to be the half hour.
Yeah, half hour,
maybe
40
not
minutes.
hopefully not with a laugh track, but
Yeah.
do it single cam, kind of like Scrub style, not the multicam like with an audience, but
Yeah.
I that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Make it into like a documentary series or something. Like they invite someone into their house
They did that. That was called The Monsters.
and that person is the camera.
Oh, okay.
That person.
You never see that person's
I mean,
face.
Right. They are the camera.
Yeah, it's like you're doing it because it'll be all shot from the camera.
Right.
Have either one of you watched What We Do in the Shadows yet?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Tried, got bored, gave up.
The movie or the show?
Show.
Oh.
You got bored by that? That show is fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's the first episode. Like I don't have the attention span. I was watching it. And the first episode was rough. I don't think I ever finished it.
Not enough puppets.
Yeah.
That is true. There's not a lot of puppets. There are some, but not a lot.
Well, let me know what episodes have puppets, and I'll just watch those.
All of them. You just have to pay attention.
They're back. They're in the background, little hidden puppets.
Actually, in what season are they on now? 2 or 3? Whatever season they just had, there was actually a puppet.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Did you see Happy Time Murder? Speaking of puppets.
No, I wanted to. I just hadn't got around to it.
That's a decent one too.
It looked funny.
I want to say it's on one of the streaming things. They just added it.
Right on.
I do have one other thing on my list.
Is it about puppets?
I just don't. It's not about puppets. But I don't know if we want to hold that on till next week or if we got time to go and go a little bit further.
Justin?
Happy Time Murders is on Netflix.
Right on.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
Fire away.
So the Oscars happened last week.
Oh no. Well, that's all time. Yes, they did happen last week.
We're not really going to talk about the Oscars, but we're going to talk about the Oscars.
How accurate were we?
Are we talking about Oscars the Grouch?
Oscars the Grouch.
With some of like the technical awards, we were dead on. And like I told you with Soul winning, like, lock all the money. Yeah, that one. Like,
I told you to cash out your 401k.
Yeah. And we were dead on with Chloe Zhao and Nomadland.
Yeah,
both of them. I think we got all the actor awards wrong because I don't remember who we picked, but I know we didn't pick Anthony Hopkins.
No.
I know we didn't pick Frances McDormand.
Nope.
I know we didn't pick. Well, did we pick Daniel Kaluuya or did we pick somebody else? The guy from Get Out that won for Judas and the Black Messiah?
I know I didn't pick him, but
okay. And then I don't remember who won for the best supporting actress was the old lady, and we did not pick her.
The old lady.
So yeah, no, we got the 4 acting awards wrong, but we got a lot of the other ones right.
Well, that's good. At least we didn't get completely wrong.
But I don't. That's not even the part that we're going to talk about. I don't care about that.
Mhm.
What I would like to spend some time on is the fact that the Oscars had the all-time lowest ratings that
Oh
they've
yeah,
ever had.
yeah.
So they had a 50%, 50+% drop off from last year. They had less than 10 million people watching the Oscars this year. Where in 2014, it was like one of the highest years ever. It was 43.7.
Wow.
So in not even 10 years, that show's gone from 43.7 and 9.8. Now, I do get that like this year, like all like ratings across the board on everything are kind of down.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't think they were very far down on the Super Bowl. I think they were down a little bit. Every award show has seen a massive drop in ratings. There's a couple things that it could be. For the second year in a row, the Oscars decided not to have a host,
Mm.
which I think is a bad idea because it doesn't like drum up the, ooh, I want to see what Billy Crystal is going to say, or, ooh, they've got Ricky Gervais and he's going to say
Yeah.
something, so like there's no host, so there's not a,
How does that work then? Like,
they have a disembodied voice telling you that Brad Pitt's coming out, and then
uh,
Brad Pitt comes out and says, "Here are the nominees for," and just there's maybe a couple sketches. Like
okay,
Regina King came out and gave an opening monologue,
okay,
but like she wasn't the host. She was, she didn't show up at all for the rest of it.
gotcha.
I think it's too easy to say, well, it's the pandemic. That's why there's no ratings. People just didn't watch movies or they don't want to watch the Oscars because they're dealing with the pandemic. It's like, you're kind of still have a trapped audience.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
People
for
aren't,
sure.
people aren't as trapped this year as they were last year. But last year, the ratings were, let's see if it's less than 10 million this year. So they were barely above 20 million last year. That's still 50% down from, 5 years before that, 6 years before that.
Well,
So you're talking, no host is part of it. Pandemic is too easy to say. That's why.
don't you think some of it could be the moving of the months too? Because didn't it used to be in
Um,
February?
yeah, because the Oscar nominations used to come out like the week after the Super Bowl, and then like the first week of March
Yeah.
was
Okay.
the Oscars. So moving it back far enough where it's dealing with the end of the season of basketball, the end of the season of hockey, the beginning of baseball, that hurts it, I'm sure.
Hmm.
The people have a lot more to do. Where
Yeah.
when they were putting, when it used to be on, like there was right in that sweet spot of we got nothing.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, it was perfect, and usually the weather was a lot shittier too. So you're just like, I'm gonna stay here, watch this.
I think the other argument that people are going to try to make is the bad or wrong movies were nominated. This year, I don't think you have that option of saying that. Well, you can say the wrong movies were nominated but this year because the argument every year is, well, you nominated a bunch of movies that nobody got to see because they only came out in New York or LA, or there were only art house movies that nobody wanted to watch.
Yeah.
But look at the ratings of over the years. And every year the argument is, well, you guys nominated 5 or 9 movies where only one was one that people wanted to see. And then, 8 movies, but people still tuned in to see the Oscars. It's like the Super Bowl. Like, how many people only watch the the only football game they watch every year is the Super Bowl. There's a lot of people who do that. Same thing with the Oscars. They want to tune in and see for whatever reason, they want to tune in and see the Oscars.
Hmm.
So I I've been hearing the wrong movies get nominated, or people can't see these movies. I've been hearing that argument for decades. So that argument for me doesn't hold water, especially this year, since pretty much every movie that got nominated was on a streaming service well before the Oscars either nominated them or like they were already there when they got nominated. So people had the chance to hunt them down and watch these movies.
Mhm.
Yeah, we couldn't even be bothered to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
We're like, all right, let's watch these. I don't want to.
That's where I think you get the wrong movies get nominated argument, where it's like, the type of movies that get nominated for the Oscars are movies that people just don't care about. Like they're just
Yeah.
like, I want to watch a movie. I want to watch Army of the Dead. I don't want to watch a movie where for 2 hours I get preached at for how wrong my political beliefs are.
Yeah, there haven't been too many
to,
movies that I've gone and like, oh, I have to hunt this down and find it.
Now every so often with a zombie movie, we do get to slip in a political argument and kind of show you some things, but every so often, we get to hide a message in a movie here and there. But for the most part, I don't want to watch a movie where I get hit over the head for 2 hours about how horrible I am.
Yeah.
Well, no one needs to tell me how horrible I am. I know.
Yeah.
I think the biggest reason why all the award show numbers are down,
Yeah.
and the Oscar numbers are down,
Yeah.
is political fatigue.
Oh boy. Here we go.
I think it's people are so tired of having the super rich get on stage, get an award, and then proceed to, for the next minute and a half, tell us how wrong everything that we think is.
Yeah.
And I think that the awards, I mean, back when the I won, the acceptance speech was, you like me, you really like me, with Sally Fields or what's his name for Life is Beautiful, Roberto Benigni, like jumping over the chairs and like acting like a crazy man.
Yeah.
Like those days are gone. Now it's, you get up and you have to have this serious, and this is why we need to blah, 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 blah. There's no fun anymore.
How are we sure that people were doing that if we didn't watch it? Oh,
well, because that's what YouTube is for.
Okay,
I can watch it the day after.
Okay, all right. So you've seen that happen?
I did watch a few minutes of the Oscars.
Okay.
But I unlike years past where I made it like appointment TV, like I was like, I'm gonna watch it from beginning to end, or at least as far until I have to go to bed as possible. Like this year, like I was just like, I'm gonna record a podcast and then watch it for a couple minutes and then go to bed. Like I didn't even care.
Yeah.
Like I didn't.
We're tired of chuckleheads telling us what they believe.
Damn chuckleheads.
That and if you go back and listen to what we predicted for the winners.
The Asian woman won. The black man won.
I think.
Is that what happened?
Well, that's what happened for the supporting actors. It didn't happen for the main act, like the regular. I know regular is not the right word. The
lead actor.
Lead actor.
Yeah, the lead actor.
Coming through again.
I think there was a fair amount of people who looked at it and went, we already knew who's going to win this. We don't care. Like clearly there is an agenda this year.
Yeah.
And it's just, So, I mean, I think.
I was going to say, we need to go back to some of our older episodes with the Oscars to see what kind of energy you brought to those.
Probably a lot more.
See how much we talked about it back then.
A lot.
I'm hoping that next year they pick a host, and pick Ricky Gervais, or bring back, actually give Kevin Hart the chance that he lost 2 years ago.
Mhm.
To Bill,
kind of,
my vote goes to Bill Burr.
That'd be awesome.
give it to Bill Burr. Give it to bring back Seth MacFarlane. Give it to
Davidson.
somebody who's gonna piss people off.
Let
Because
OJ
that's
do it.
that's where you'll get
Just a little
ratings,
shot.
Yeah.
like because then not only will you get ratings, but you'll get people talked about the Oscars the day after, and then
Mhm.
that was it.
Yeah.
Like they didn't talk about. There's not people talking about the Oscars for weeks on end after. It's like, oh man, did you see that that acceptance speech, or let's talk about, or
yeah.
Seth MacFarlane made a back when Seth MacFarlane sung that song about "We Saw Your Boobs" and
Yeah.
the thing you did, we saw your boobs, and people talked about that they still talk about that.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to talk about anything
People
from this Oscars.
like boobs.
Ooh.
Well, there's that. But
We need more boobs in the Oscars.
Oh,
But for this year's
Best
Oscars, the only
supporting
thing that
titty.
anybody's going to talk about, 5 years from now, is the fact that it happened.
Mhm.
They're not going to talk about. They're going to be like, "Wait, what movie won that year? What was?" There's not going to be any of that. Oh man, that's the year that.
Yeah, they just
I don't
made
know.
him too sterile. Like there is
Yes.
nothing to talk about. Except
They.
there is
I don't
one.
necessarily agree with the "go woke, get broke" statement
Mhm.
that a lot of people were saying,
Mhm.
but it's in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I could definitely see that. I mean, yeah. But there was one thing. The musical performance. Didn't they do an actual musical performance of that Eurovision song?
Now, this was another thing that I think also cost the Oscars viewing. And I didn't know this until like the day or so before. Definitely not when we were recording. They had apparently announced that
Mhm.
they were not going to do any of the musical performances live.
Oh, okay.
So, another thing that like people were like, because a few years ago when the Muppet song won the Oscar,
Yeah.
when that guy from Flight of the Conchords won the Oscar for that Jason Segel Muppet movie,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
had made the decision that they weren't going to do musical numbers that year, and everybody lost their shit. Oh my God, how dare you! And so the Oscars were like, the next year, like the musical numbers were front and center. They were like, bam, here it is, and they were shoving it down their throat. This year, because they were like, oh well, because we're doing it smaller and more intimate, and we have all these COVID restrictions,
Yeah.
we're not going to have the musical numbers. And people were like, oh really? Well, what else is on?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, jeez. They
All
really,
right.
So it
they
seems
really
in
shit the bed.
recently that it seems in the years recently where people really want to see the musical numbers, because
Yeah.
it would have been awesome to see
Yeah.
Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams perform at the Oscars.
Yeah.
They were like, no, we're good. We're not gonna
That's
Ah.
unbelievable.
have those this.
That's really dumb.
So,
Yeah.
all right, well, that's all I got for my notes.
Jesus. Yeah, I'm getting the wrap it up signal over here.
Well, I'm spent because it's about 800 degrees in this room. So
Oh yeah, I'm sweating right now.
Okay, well, Oscars, it's time to remember that stupid never walks alone.
booyah.
And we're out.